I have to come down here because I have these heels on and I'm afraid I'm going to fall off the altar. How many times have you heard the phrase hooking up from the altar? I don't know. That doesn't always I don't know. That's not always so comfortable. I just want to say thank you. Wait, I don't even know if I've turned this back on. Am I on or off? Okay. Is that on? Ooh, yeah, that's on. Okay. I want to thank Father Tom for inviting me here, and I'm sorry I couldn't make it last February when I was supposed to come. We got 3.5 feet of snow in Boston, so I was shoveling for hours. I would have much rather come here to talk to you all, I assure you. So I'm so glad to be here now, though, and what a gorgeous day, and what a beautiful church. This is wonderful. I have to say about Father Tom, I get a lot of requests to come and speak. I've spoken at about 30 different colleges and universities, and so I don't always say yes when I get a request because I just have so much going on. But Father Tom was so nice on the phone. I thought, I gotta go over today. That is great. So good for you guys for having him. That's wonderful. So I'm gonna try to say something. I know some of you are students. It looks like there's some families here too. You got to get home for dinner, and students have to get back to the library. I know, because I teach undergrads, and they better be in the library right now. So I'm gonna try to maybe talk for, I'm gonna say 10 minutes, but it's really gonna be 15. And then later at dinner, I'd love to have conversations with you in a little more detail about this. People often ask me how I got to start talking about dating and hookup culture and relationships among college students. I work at Boston College. I teach undergrad philosophy classes. I don't know if Aristotle has anything much to say about hookup culture, but I can probably find it in there. And the real reason that I've been talking about this for about 8 or 9 years now is that it came out of 2 conversations. And the first was a conversation that I had with a white-haired, wise, old Jesuit. Boston College is a Jesuit university. And to say a white-haired, wise old Jesuit, I don't know, that doesn't narrow it down. They're all sort of like that, right? And he said to me when I was first starting to teach philosophy and theology at BC, this was about 15 years ago, he said, you know, Carrie, it's so great that you're really excited to teach, you know, this course to undergrads, and your enthusiasm is so infectious, and that's great, but you know, nothing that you're going to say in class is really going to change the lives of your students unless you make sure that you're speaking to them about the things that are going on in their lived experiences, in their lives, in the res halls, and in their jobs, and in their friendships and relationships. And I thought, come on, Father, that's wrong. Yeah, I'm going to be teaching them Plato's Cave, you know, I mean, that's good stuff, you know? It's really good stuff, and Aquinas and Kant, it's really good. I think I could change their lives. And he said, no, I'm telling you, if you don't know what's going on with them in their lives and really relate it, then you're not doing what we call education. I thought, oh, shoot. Okay, so the second conversation that got me here today was a conversation I actually had with a bunch of students, a bunch of Boston College seniors, actually. I had been at an event with them. I moderated a panel of students who were speaking about their faith experiences. The name of the event was Dude, Where's My Church? A lot of people showed up, so it was a really good event. And afterwards, I went to get ice cream with the students who had been on the panel and students who had helped to run it. So there were about 8 seniors. And you know, we were talking about the kinds of things you ask seniors, you know, so what are you going to do with your lives? They're terrified of that question. I don't know. And back then, they might have been able to play Josh. Back then. And, you know, don't worry. And so we were talking about, you know, what are you going to do after college or grad school, get a job? And then finally, when we were scraping around the bottom of our ice cream bowls, I said, what about relationships? What about, you know, your boyfriends and girlfriends? Are you going to break up the day before graduation? Or are you going to, you know, do that long distance thing? What are you going to do? And they sort of looked at me blankly. And so, you know, I teach, so I thought, well, I have to rephrase the question. You know, you know those people you've been dating and still nothing? party. And I thought, yeah, okay, sure, I know that. I'm not that old, I know what's going on. And so then they started saying, no, we're really just gonna hook up, we don't really do that serious thing. And I thought, what? Because, you know, that, like this school, like I'm looking at all of these, it's just tons of amazingly good-looking people here. Get on that, okay? Sorry about it. So anyway, after that, I started talking to students really very openly, and I have to say this. I always say when I speak about this, I'm so grateful. Over the years, so many students, both at Boston College and at schools around the country. I went to the University of Wyoming once to give a talk. Do you know where the University of Wyoming is? It's out there. I mean, you go to the middle of nowhere, take a right, go right into it. But, you know, I hear the same things from students all around the country. And students have been so honest and candid and really wonderfully open with me about their lives and their loves and their losses and their pains and their joys about this. And here's some of the just basic things that I found. I don't want to get into the whole thing. I can talk in more detail maybe at dinner with some of you. What I have found is that college students today, and I'm pretty old, so I went to college back in the day, but college students today find themselves, with respect to dating relationships, in mostly one of three categories, right? And the three categories are these. I find many, and they're a lot problematic. Many students are in what I call pseudo-married couples, right? You know, they're together all the time. They're so, you know, there's a problem with them. They're so happy all the time. Drive the rest of us crazy. And then there are people who are hooking up, and I can say a lot about that, not during Mass. I'll say a lot more about that after Mass. And that's kind of a new social script that's arrived on the scene, and it's got some real problems. And then there's a large group of students, a really large group of students, a group of students who are really interesting to me, who are doing what I call opting out, who are saying, you know what, the drama of relationships is too much. You know, I had a bad breakup in high school, and I just never want to do that again. Or, you know, in the hookup scene, I think that's kind of sketchy because it is. Because they read reality correctly. And so they opt out, right? And so what I've discovered over the years of talking to students about this, and in courses I've actually tried to address a little bit, is that students are you're so creative. You're really great, and you tried to solve these kinds of issues by yourselves in a lot of ways. And I think this is one of the things that has made me really interested in talking about this. I mean, I would love to give a lecture on Aristotle, but nobody invites me to give a lecture on Aristotle. Everybody invites me to come and talk on dating. It does interest me because of this, because I see young adults really grappling with how hard it is to navigate this kind of culture without much help. Because I think what's happened a lot in our culture in the United States anyway, is that certain social scripts, like traditional dating that is not like pseudo-married couples, has really sort of fallen away. And that's a fourth alternative that I'm really trying to sort of talk some young adults back into. And when I talk to young adults about dating that's sort of more reasonable and maybe more traditional, not completely traditional, we don't need to go back to the 1940s, but we could really sort of retrieve some things about it that are really good and kind of bring it forward and make it our own in a way that's reasonable, responsible, and loving. And the ways that I've tried to get students into conversations about this started, one of the important ways was about 7 years ago. I was teaching a capstone seminar to some juniors and seniors, mostly seniors. And I said to them, it was the fall, and I said, you know what? This fall, in addition to all sorts of things we're going to talk about, and all kinds of things that we're going to do while we're together for a semester, I'd like you to go on a date. And they said, yeah, that's a great idea. Yes, my grandparents did that. Yes, right. I've heard tell of it. And so I said, okay, great, so do that. And I thought they would take care of that. Well, every week they would come back and they'd talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, and it never happened. And I kept thinking, what's going on? And they, oh, I don't know who I'm going to know, I don't know. Where should we go? And it went on and on and on. And finally we got to the end of the semester. And of the 14 students, it was a nice small seminar, of the 14 students, only one actually did that assignment. And I mean, I'm more successful with most assignments. So I thought, well, this is not good. So the next semester, I got smart. Not as stupid as I was. So I thought, here's what I'm going to do. During that drop ad period, when you're still kind of shopping around, I said, by the way, if you stay in this class, you're going to have to go on a date. You're going to have to ask someone out on a date.